Okay, here's the synth tour video. As you've seen in the pictures, there's DX5. Of course, I have it above the DX1, which is so big I have to get way back here so you can see it. And it all sits on top of the CP70 piano, which is kind of fun. You hear that in a lot of music from the 70s to today. They still use them. Of course, this DX5 is actually on a stand I built, so it's kind of hovering above everything. There's the synth controller you asked about. That's hooked up to that SX240 there. I've got the Polyphonic out because I'm still working on it, restoring it. It does work, but it needs work to be reliable. The usual story with old Moogs, and this one was made in, I do believe, 1974. That's an oldie. SX240, Matrix Brute. There's the Lindrum. That's a Tysco 60F. That is a 1 VCO keyboard, mono synth. Polyend SEQ sequencer. I use it to sequence the Lindrum just because it's easier. You can have patches right in it, but it's easier to go from there and you just step sequence. There's the Digitac, just probably my second favorite drum machine nowadays. That thing is awesome. TD3, which is a real piece of shit. Don't know how else to put it. It doesn't come close to the original, so it's going to be for sale soon. There's the Oberheim Perfx units, the drummer, the strummer, and the cyclone. The strummer simulates guitar strumming. I don't have it hooked up to anything right now. The drummer, I normally have hooked up to this Pearl SC40, so we can just kind of randomly do these weird bonks and clunks, which is what that's good for. Novation Peak, another one of my favorites. There's my Kawai sampler, S612, that was their first sampler, and there's the disk drive for it. MIDI echo boxes, some reverb, effects, you know, those are my favorite effects units. That's a 48 input, 24 channel rack mixer that Roland used to make. That thing was great. This is an Encore Expressionist. I know, let's see here if I can, there you go. That converts MIDI and CV back and forth, 8 different channels, so that I can play any of these old keyboards and then Polyphonic and all that just by simply converting it. It'll convert, you know, 5 volt, 10 volt, hertz per volt, hertz per octave, volts per octave. It'll do all that. Up here's the MS-2000. And the stand over here, the one thing Behringer got right, the RD8, that thing is awesome. Marauder Nova, as you know. This is a Tysco 110F. That is a 2 VCO synth. That thing is awesome. The SX400 down here is a 4 VCO synth. That thing is so ridiculously fat, it's amazing. And of course the OBXA down here, the one you talked about, which is pretty big. Not as big as that DX1, but it's pretty big. And on the right, which you're asking about, Kawai K5. Then the Korg DS8, which was Korg's answer to the Yamaha DX7, in that this is true phase distortion FM synthesis. It's actually probably better than the DX7, and it has built-in effects and dual layer. That was a pretty good unit. The Akai AX60, which is unique in that it can be patched from the sampler over there, and you can actually run sounds or your voice or whatever through the filters. So that's pretty neat. This whole stand, the video makes the displays look funny. That is all K3s. I actually have 7 of these and a whole bunch of modules that aren't set up. K3s, this one here, you can tell by the tape, I used it a lot. I bought that one brand new in 1985. The rest, you know, you get for nothing. K3s are common as dirt. You can get them cheap, and they're actually really good. Most expressive keyboard I've ever played. Aftertouch, velocity, all programmable on both as well. And over here, it's another SX240. Then the sequential 6-track. A Teisco SX210. Then the Kawai branded version of the 210. And you get over here to the racks. The ME35T converts audio, or pitch if you will, to MIDI. So you can do a lot of neat things with that. That was glitched. Reset that. These are all MIDI interfaces. Between all of these, I have a total of 512 available MIDI channels, so I don't run out. This Netgear router is a 1 gigabit router instead of just your 100 megabyte router that you normally use. And the reason for the high speed is that it is actually down here, the Dante network hub for these mixers, which is all studio standard, the Dante digital audio network, which on my screen here, this is the patching. You can just literally virtually patch whatever channel you want to go where. Anyway, continuing, the old Akai ME15F is a MIDI dynamics processor. And right here we have a couple of spectrum analyzers I use. A noise gate. The ME20A is a MIDI sequencer. Well, it's an arpeggiator sequence. It's simple, but it's way more versatile in some ways than new stuff, in that you can play on the fly and it'll keep right up with you. And the Akai cassette deck. All of these little Akai pieces are part of Akai's old micro studio system from way back. Use this little simple Radio Shack mixer to mix the live rig with the computer and Alexa sitting here. Hey Alexa, sing a song.
Mark Twain's brain was insane, explosive as a gas maid, satirical spitfire, wit sharp as barbed wire, humorous,
Alexa,
novelist.
Stop. She cracks me up. These little boxes down here, let's see if I can turn this on. I'll get my finger in there. Those are Roli light blocks. When you bring up your projects and patch them, I mean, it's kind of like a touchpad, but these are expressive. You can slide your finger, they could do different notes and cutoffs and things, everything you can do. And they're all magnetic. You just plug them in, they literally just, see how I unplugged that? Now they don't know what to do. They just magnetically connect and you're good to go. And over on this side, at least this D4 percussion box, 4 Roland D110s. I have that many because I bought one years and years ago, and the rest kind of found me for nothing, so I fixed them. Kawai K1R, Roland guitar to MIDI interface, and then K4R, all the EMU Proteus units from the day in percussion. And that's about it for this section. Of course, the computer set up right now is playing with some different stuff here. Doing a version of Fade to Gray. So that's how I record. Well, record serious stuff. I'm doing live stuff. Now we go back here to the kind of the area that got piled up. There's my 1914 auto piano. There's a K3M, a Kurzweil 1000 PX, which is 24 voice. Down here's a El Cheapo Roland D5, POS, little MIDI USB controller. This up here is an original ARP Odyssey, then an MS-20, Sequential Circuits Pro 1. Down in there in that hole, you can barely see it, that's a mono station. Yamaha QX1 sequencer, there's another one down there, and a CD player, RX5 drum machine, MM16 MIDI mixer, old Yamaha sequencer, a little cheapy. And these are Atari video music units. That's the first thing Atari ever made in the 70s. Those are literally the first visualizer for your TV screen. You play music in it and they do things on the screen. There's the first thing Roland ever made, the Rhythm Ace FR1, which is a drum box. And up here, there's my flux capacitor I built. An old EMU piano unit. Gacken SX150 synthesizer, some MIDI pads, Panasonic drums, and a Casio SK1. Little drumstick that makes noise when you pound on it. There's my CSO1, a bunch of cartridges for some of the gear. The original Apple TV, the good one that had a hard drive in it so you could actually save things. Some more of the Yamaha personal studio system, which even included a drum machine. That's actually a really cool drum machine. VL Tone, the 4-track cassette recorder and system that I recorded my first music on. These are actually the spares because the full system isn't in here. It has a nice little rack and everything. There's a DDD5 drum machine, some other miscellaneous stuff laying around. There's a Laserdisc player on the floor. Wall full of records from my friend from the Thompson twins. Believe it or not, all of that is Thompson twins and various radio shows that he was on and his current works and videos, and it gets pretty crazy. And back here, it's kind of buried, there's a Korg Triton 88 Extreme, a Kawai M8000. Sorry they're so buried. And way back in this corner is a Rhodes 660 and a Casio AZ1 keytar, which we used to perform with in the 80s. And it goes on and on. Back here, it's a couple of Krumar lower manuals I'm going to build into a 3-manual synthesizer. There's another K3 buried back here. And the Akai MG1212, which is a 14-track multi-track recorder from that went with that micro studio system we were talking about before. And that's really the bulk of it. There's stuff in other rooms, but that's the main stuff. Hope you enjoy the video.